Listen, we're here. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some things, and then we're going to get into the conversation. So if you didn't see, Bethenny Frankel posted this morning saying, a woman's voice is very powerful. Now Rachel is using hers to tell her own story for the first time. Part 1 now available on Just Be with Bethenny, wherever you listen to your podcast. And that's kind of how this started. But from there, I'm going to go ahead and switch this up. You ready? We're going to give the first clip.
Okay.
Hold on.
You were born Rachel, and then at some point you didn't legally, but you just wanted to be called Raquel. Diabolical, demented, subhuman, shut the fuck up. You are nothing, you are nothing, you are nothing. I would have killed someone. Has anyone said that you're a human being? How did you feel knowing someone that you thought you were in love with recorded you? I wanted to know if you think that they feel that they went too far, the cast, and if...
Okay. I mean, I think that that's all you really need. We're going to go ahead and pause it right there. The interview was wild. So in this interview, Jason felt a little underwhelmed, and I kind of felt a little overwhelmed based off of the relationships that we have with the cast. I think
Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting this. I was using my parking pass this morning to take notes while I was getting Jason a coffee. This was not on my bingo card today, but guess what? That's sometimes the best content. Throughout this interview, Jason, I want to start with you. What do you think was the most shocking part for you?
Well, let me just step back because I had some thoughts on what this interview could be, because there is a reality reckoning. There is a conversation that I have said needs to happen. Of course, I don't know if it's going to go as far as Bethenny is trying to take it. But what I got out of it wasn't so much what I got is she's taking accountability for her actions, but also this isn't the exploitive things that I've been hearing from around, Bravo and the talent who are no longer on the shows and stuff like that. This isn't as there. So I'm wondering in part 2 of this interview, like, what happened to your nose? And was that covered up? That's what I want to know. Those kind of things I want to know. But
It was her eye.
She did, or her eye, sorry. But, I felt like she took accountability for things that she has done. Now, yes, the whole cast has done this. Yes, this blew up into something. But at the same time, Bethenny said exploitation without representation. I get that, but no one's holding a gun to your head, girl. Like, you are still making these choices. You are deciding to drink. She admitted to being a fangirl of DJs, and this is how she came to know James. I was there when she met James at Pump. Like, this is, these are choices that you're making. Another thing that didn't sit well with me, and I'm sorry to go on a spiel here. No. When Rachel said that a lot of the viewers are projecting on her because of something they've been through, that to me is like, no, girl, because it hits home for them. It's like, yes, but they're upset, but you did it. You made that decision. You made that choice. And it's like, no one is forcing you to do anything. No one forced you to go back to the show and film again. No one forced you to show up at the reunion. No one forced you to sign up for this in the first place. No one forced you to be a fan of James that turned into a very volatile relationship. No one forced you to go after Tom Sandoval. So that's where I kind of lose things a little bit, if that makes sense.
Let's start from the beginning, right? So we start off, and she said that right now she feels like after coming out of therapy, she's at a place where this makes sense to her, right? From there, they started talking about Bethenny kind of mentioned, she's like, this is wild to me because, watching your show, I've never watched your show. From my knowledge, you guys are a bunch of people who worked in a bar. You guys drink a lot of alcohol. You hook up with each other. But this affair took on a name, which was Scandival, and then it was like shot through the PR machine that is Bravo NBC, right? Because it's like, we're going to make a shit ton of money. So that's kind of the stance that we start off on, right? And then
at the same time, this was supposed to be the last season of Vanderpump Rules, you know, and then this all happened. So to save the rest of the season, to go into one more season, which I think it only has one more on its, you know, life span here, but
we thought that
they picked up.
Too.
I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to drive us into season 12, but that's just my opinion. I've been wrong 3 times, so who knows?
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
I feel, yeah, like, of course they picked up on this, but the show was pretty much done and wrapped, and then they picked up cameras again, and we got this going again. You didn't have to, again, they're going to do that because of a decision you made and it came out. Of course they're going to do that. That's what they do. You know, you've been well versed on Bravo. Obviously you were a fan of DJs or maybe just James or the show and wanting to get on. You've watched the show for years. This is something that's been spiraling and happening before and before. It's like, you know, there was a roadmap there.
Well, and then I want to kind of get into this too. Again, I'm going to go through, bear with me, Jay, because I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit you with the points.
Sure.
Bethenny said, why me? Why did you choose me when you could have went to anybody else? Now, I'm pretty certain that Bethenny is not the one-stop shop for this interview. I believe that there is a huge publication that is coming out. And really, if I'm breaking this down, I honestly think that Bethenny gave Raquel a platform to, in her mind, sort of redeem herself. And then this publication is a let's just say, let's call it Vanity Fair. Let's say Vanity Fair is coming out with a publication, right? And they're talking, or Vogue or anybody, People, who cares? I think that this was sort of a place for Raquel to speak her side. But also now if she goes on and she has interviews with other publications, it's kind of like the redemption tour, right? We had people who were canceled, like Jax Taylor or Stassi Schroeder or Kristen Doty. And then Jax just promoted his new villain show. And also he's recording his own show while also potentially filming for Vanderpump Rules season 11. So this is like her own redemption phase, right? Well,
sure.
Bethenny said, why me? She said, well, my PR team reached out to you, and it's because you're a powerhouse and my mom absolutely loves you, which really gives credit to everything that Lala and Sheena said from the jump when they were talking on their podcast, because they were like, listen, her mom has such a sort of control factor with her that she is not going to let her come back on the show. Like, I don't foresee Raquel.
It's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for her. And, you know, like I said, you know, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but, you know, just like it's just not, it's not healthy. I'm glad that she does have a support where it's like, stay away from the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and then from there, I'm going to bring this up really quick. Norma Maldonado, Rachel should have had a one-on-one with major outlets. Bethenny is exploiting Rachel, using her to gain followers and using Raquel Leviss or Rachel Leviss as a poster child for her crusade. Thank you for the super chat, Norma. Rachel went on to acknowledge that she was healing from a very toxic relationship, somebody who she thought she was going to marry at some point. And she didn't know how to do that. So she started over-consuming alcohol, kind of getting into the single phase. She was making all the wrong decisions. And she got to a point where she didn't necessarily recognize herself, right? She said that she drank a lot, blah, blah, blah. And then we get into the Rachel versus Raquel of it all. This part I found fascinating only because I love a good context and a backstory to what we're talking about. And Raquel went on to explain, when I was in school, first grade, I had a lot of Rachels in my class. I've always been Raquel to my friends. At home, I was Rachel. To my friends, I was Raquel. So no, this was not just a stage name that came about because of Vanderpump Rules. This is something that it's another person identity I've identified as for a long time. Right? So at least we kind of get to put that to bed. Okay, then it keeps going.
She also said,
what?
You know, like, she didn't have her safe space, like her place to go through these emotions, you know, after the James breakup. And it's like, then going back to the show is just not a good idea. And I realize that these people are young. I was also young at one point. I made dumb decisions, but also I was old enough to make smart decisions if I wanted to. And I feel like maybe you should have just taken a break from the show if you didn't feel that was a safe space for you, you know? And I do understand that producers get in their ears and they say, if you don't come back, you know, your story will be told for you. Someone else will tell your story. You need to come back and finish this. You need to be the winner in this James breakup, you know? So I understand that, but I mean, the safe space thing made me think. It's like Vanderpump Rules is not a safe space.
No.
Those restaurants are not a safe space.
No. No.
Filming
Reality TV is not a safe space. But
No.
you know, like, the whole point. Oh, Jason taught me something and I'm trying to get better about it. Like last night we were at dinner and somebody was trying to talk to me and I was like, ay, ay, ay. He's like, do you ever notice that you say ay, ay, ay when you're done with the conversation and you're just like trying to push somebody to the side? And I was like, I never noticed that. So I'm going to be better about that. But wait, I want to get into this. Bethenny said that she would probably be in jail for murder had she have been Raquel's mom after watching that reunion. And Raquel sort of explained that, or Rachel, this is so confusing. It's like Ariana and Ariana. Rachel explained going into the reunion, she was shocked by Ariana's behavior. This part got me a little bit. She said, I'm somebody who comes from a place of compassion and understanding. And when Ariana came at me at the reunion, it's just not what I was expecting. And I thought in my mind, no offense, I'm not saying like, yes, just bury Rachel over here. But I'm saying in my mind, I thought, how could you not have expected that? That's exactly what it was going to be. And you knew that based off of the media attention that everyone was getting and the podcasts and the interviews and the things that were coming out from TMZ before you even got to the reunion. This was inevitable.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Well, from there, Rachel was asked about who can she trust at this point. Bethenny asked her and she said, listen, at this point, I've learned my LA friends were my fake friends. And I can only trust my childhood friends, and not all of them. I had a few childhood friends who reached out to me and they said, hey, listen, I have to unfollow you.